COVID-19 has changed the world. I'm interviewing extraordinary people on the front line, stepping up with amazing acts of kindness in the fight against this virus. Tune in to watch, support and share their inspiring stories, because together we are stronger. Abby, thank you so much for taking this time out. You're doing an amazing job. And I just want to say thank you so much for sparing this time, because I know you've been really, really busy. Abby, tell me a little bit more about what you've been doing, because you've been doing amazing things since this whole corona virus kicked off.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, so I have a company called the Yum Yum Food Company, and we cater for nursery children. And when we found out the schools were closing, I effectively had to close my business after 20 years. Even if it was temporary, I've never before had to close my business down. So we kind of shut up shop, and I have 2,000 square foot kitchen premises, and thought, well, they're going to sit empty. There's so much need at the moment. So I put a post out on Facebook saying, does anyone want kitchen premises? Thinking maybe a charity could pick them up. And someone said to me, there's a gentleman called Leon Aarts who's looking for premises to set up charity to just start feeding those in need. So I connected with him. We met Friday a week ago, and by Monday we just started. We agreed we'd put things on social media over the weekend, and we just got on with it. So we had a couple of volunteer chefs turn up by Monday. We did a couple of 100 meals, and it just grew from there. And it's been a firestorm for me in a way.
And when you say firestorm, tell me about that. What
time-wise? We can't then. I used to work hard before, but I've never worked like this. The amount of people, that we grew to 2,000 meals within 5 days of opening.
2,000 meals. And where are those meals going to, just to give the audience?
So we're going, about 1,000 are going to homeless shelters, and the rest, the majority, are going to NHS workers. And we are supporting quite a few single people. They may not be single, but people in their homes that have, for whatever reason, have no access to food. Elderly gentlemen with diabetes, or a mum that's got a baby and asthmatic and can't leave the house, and she's got a child and she can't get access to food. There's all different stories, and as fast as we can, we're trying to help as many people. It's obviously harder to deliver to a single locations for one person rather than a hospital for 100 meals, because you just have a much further reach when you're delivering 100 meals to one location. But we're doing our best to help everyone. And by firestorm, I mean in terms of, we've pretty much set up, although it's a charity, it's right, you have to run it like a business, and we've set it up overnight, and it's scaled overnight. So we are trying to get processes in place, like delivery schedules and spreadsheets, and WhatsApp groups with all our volunteer drivers or volunteer chefs, and people to help me manage the rota and creating a rota. None of this has been pre-designed. And so Leon and I are literally working round the clock trying to sort this out. And that's what I mean by firestorm. It's just, I'm learning as I go. I've got 20 years experience catering for meals and delivering them, different temperature controls. So that's not the problem in terms of that experience. It's just the amount of volume we're trying to get through, and taking orders from people that we don't know. We're just finding, for example, we've connected with doctors on Facebook, and we're asking what they need, and they're saying, yeah, we'd like so many meals. I spoke to one doctor, and they said, right, we'd like you to cover 4 ICU units in Great Ormond Street. So we said yes, of course, and we're delivering to them, but we're delivering to the doctors. So they're giving their mobile number of colleagues, and they're coming out. It's not led by the actual hospitals, because it's too much red tape, and we have to turn this around really fast. And so it's just getting access to giving the meals to those who need it immediately and as fast as we can. And that takes a lot of time to, find the people that need it and process it, and, everything that goes behind the scenes to get that organized and get those meals out.
I mean, I can't even imagine where you're starting with this, and obviously you sound like you're a very astute businesswoman anyway. But how are you getting all the volunteers? And you mentioned that you set up a charity. What's the name of the charity? Just so
Sure. So thank you. The charity is called Compassion London. The website's www.compassion.london. And Leon is very well connected as well, because he ran a kitchen in the refugee camp in Calais on the borders. He just started it like this from nothing. And he started at 200 meals a day, and he was doing over 10,000 meals a week, all based with volunteers, just driving from here, driving food trucks, chefs turning up for a few weeks here and there, just incredible. So we've tapped into his contacts and volunteers. I've just been plugging it with everyone I know on Facebook, and just asking as many people as I can to volunteer, and they've been asking their friends. Obviously, we're in very unusual times, and it's really hard to get people to feel comfortable about volunteering. So, for example, if someone will phone me and say, I would like to volunteer, and I do ask them a couple of times, are you sure? Because we're all making the decision to volunteer and not stay home indoors safely, but we are doing it for a reason. So you have to really be comfortable with the choice you're making. And for that reason alone, I feel so humbled by how many volunteers are choosing to do this. Of course, we're doing our best to practice social distancing and using masks and gloves, but people don't realise there's been a couple of Facebook posts about how hard it is to get masks and gloves and things like that, because they're not available for love or money at the moment.
Absolutely. So the doctors can't get hold of them. You know, I've literally just petition with the equipment that there isn't any for these doctors that are going into the hospitals. I mean, it's astounding.
Yeah, it's been really hard, and we've done things like, we've been asking friends who are beauticians or different areas like that have nail bars, and they've been donating whatever masks they had left in their premises before they got closed down, because we don't need that. We have maybe 15 volunteers a day, so we're not yet to scale on the requirement of masks. So yeah, but there's there's so many moving parts to this, like all the food donations we're receiving, managing what the menus are going to be based on what the food is coming in. It's not like we are deciding a menu, ordering food, having it arrive and making it. It's it's more like ready, steady, cook.
What are you getting? What can you do with it?
Exactly. And we're dealing with some incredible chefs that are offering their support.
Wow.
And a lot of people that have never stepped foot in a kitchen, or much less a commercial kitchen, they're offering their support. And so it's quite something to put that many meals out every day, working with a team of people that do not have the experience or background or knowledge to do something like that.
I mean, to say, so if I were to ask, what is it that you need, if we could put something out there, is it volunteers, or is it donations, or is it, I guess, all of the above?
So what we need most, obviously, is donations, because we're doing all of this for free. And whilst we do get a lot of food donated, the kinds of food we're seeing donated aren't a rounded meal. So we have to do things like we bought today, I think it was 200 kg of pasta and rice and lentils, and you need your oils and spices. There's a lot of add-ons and packaging costs. We're doing 2,000 packages a day, portion control. So we need to make donations to keep this going. That's 100%. We do have a donate button on the website. And the other thing we need is volunteers. We do have a few companies with fleets of vans that have contacted us to say that they'd like to help. So we're not as short on drivers as we are on kitchen volunteers. Now, anyone volunteering in the kitchen does have to know what they're choosing. We are trying to practice social distancing. It is a big kitchen, but it's a busy kitchen, and so it's a very personal choice, and we really respect and understand that. But yeah, we do need a lot of kitchen volunteers, and no one has to have experience, because we just need people to pack the food, and that doesn't take any experience. You're shown how to do it. You've got thousands of containers lined up, and you just put half of rice in one and half of curry in the other and put the lid on. So it can be anyone doing it. And that's kind of what we need.
And are you taking people that just say want to come and do a couple of hours a day, or that just say, look, I'm going to show up, I've got a couple of hours today, what do you want me to do?
Absolutely.
Right.
We are grateful for any support. We have some people that have worked, from 9 till 6, 5 days a week, like incredible. And we've got other people that will come after a days of work for a few hours. We will accept literally anything. We don't want anyone to get burnt out or feel overwhelmed. So whatever people feel comfortable to give, we need all that help. But on the plus side, our volunteers are just loving it. The kitchen's a lot of fun. There's a big buzz to it. The reports back from the drivers, from the NHS staff that are receiving the food is incredible. And a lot of people are saying to me, and Leon, of course, thank you for giving us this opportunity to do something. It's incredible, and to be a part of it. So there's the two sides to it. We are in the middle of an unprecedented amount of fear about doing anything, leaving our homes. And at the same time, that has created an unprecedented amount of need for charity and support,
And
So
absolutely, and you're a great example of someone that's stepped up, going beyond the mark, and doing amazing things. What is it, Abby, that sort of really drives you and motivated you to do this?
Well, thank you for your comment. I would really like to point out that this is such a big team effort, and just me alone couldn't do any of this, And Leon's a big part of this, and every single volunteer, including we've had a Romanian gentleman turned up to do pot wash, where you wash all the trays for 8 hours on his weekend after working all week, and he just did it. So it's really incredible that the whole team effort that this has created. But what drives me is, I'm a mom, and I can't imagine my boys not having food and going hungry. I have been speaking to people that haven't had access to food for days on end, and by the time we get to them, it's the first meal they've had for a few days. I've had the thing that's happened here that not everyone realizes. I'm in the food industry, so I realize it may be a little more than most. The production chains have broken down. So if you think things like, for example, the airline industry, how many tens of thousands of meals would be eaten every day in the skies? All that stopped, and so the emphasis on those meals have now moved to supermarkets, where people are buying to bring to their home. But a lot of the production of food supporting those industries are signed off on contracts for years and tied up. Producers to the suppliers are all tied up in supplier chains, and so you have all this produce, and it's not going anywhere, and it can't just be repositioned for supermarkets, because it's not packaged, it doesn't have barcodes, it doesn't have the same way of distribution as you would to a supermarket.
Is this going to waste, or would it just...
Well, some is, sadly, but companies like myself and charities like what we're creating at Compassion London are having all these foods delivered. There's some wonderful partnerships we're working with, like City Harvest and the Felix Project, who are these incredible companies that are the middleman between finding this food, on a professional scale almost, and bringing it to companies like ourselves. And they've really supported us in getting all this this food that we can then cook and deliver ourselves. So the production process is broken through no one's fault, and it's about working as fast as we can to not let that food go to waste, and also to make sure that people that would otherwise not have anything to eat get fed. I know you asked about, so I go off subject. I know you asked about what inspires me. Look at what these NHS workers are doing. They're leaving their homes, putting themselves at risk. Some of them are having to leave their children and their families for 3 months. I can't imagine saying to my boys, I won't see you for 3 months. You're living with grandma and grandpa, or, it's just heartbreaking, so that they stay in the quarantine process of their jobs. And they're going to work. It is a front line, it is a war, and they're going to work to save people. And sadly, I do know a few people that have been affected by this. And I don't think until you go through it that you can imagine what it might feel like to know that your loved one is possibly dying, with a stranger, and those nurses and doctors and everyone involved are there as their family and friends and their saviors, right? Because they're there for the last moments with these people, and they have to give everything they've got emotionally as well as professionally.
Yeah, there's a lot of them are going through 24-hour shifts, and with trying to get hold of food, and thank God for your charity that is providing food to some of the nurses and doctors. They're getting home and everything's closed at night, or they just simply can't get out.
Yeah, so that's a whole other problem that's been created almost overnight. The canteens in the hospitals have had to close to make it safe. The canteen workers have had to go home to make them safe. And so whereas before anyone doing a double shift may have gone to the canteens, or may have gone to vending machines that are more regularly stocked, or any of the eateries, especially we're dealing with Londoners, so eateries around London, cafes, etc., restaurants that would stay open near a hospital for 24 hours, all that's gone. And when they finish a shift that's not just challenging professionally but emotionally, for them to be the entire support network at the end of life for all these people, it's just an extraordinary undertaking whilst leaving their family behind. They then go to the likes of a supermarket which may or may not have stock on their shelves, and more than that, I think there's a bigger picture here where you have your entire support network. For example, for me, the way I work, I'm always calling my mum saying, can you pick the boys up? I've run out of milk. Can you get me this? Can you get me that? And she's always doing it, and she's amazing, but she can't do that for me anymore. And it's the same for a lot of these workers that have support networks, be it family, friends, or partners that are there getting the shopping in, or making a meal for when they come home. They're not there. They can't leave their homes to help their family and the workers, the NHS workers. So you have their support system decimated, and they're just. I've heard reports of the NHS workers being left with biscuits and chocolate, and that's kind of it. There's nothing else available. Yeah. So that's where we're trying to fill a gap. Now, we're probably doing about 1,000 meals a day across a number of different hospitals in North London and the centre of London, but it's nowhere near enough. The amount of thousands of workers, we can't fulfil it fast enough. We're trying to get kitchens, like a stadium kitchen, that kind of size.
I know you mentioned when we talked earlier about football stadiums even.
Yeah, we would love to get a football stadium kitchen, because then we can scale up. We can talk about doing 10,000 meals within the next 2 weeks. We've got the volunteers, we've got the food contacts, we've got the driver contacts, but we need a kitchen. And with that opportunity, there is just no end to the requirement of these meals.
Let's put that out there. Anyone that is any closely connected to football stadiums, we need a football stadium. Abby and her team and the charity needs a football stadium. What would that do to the meals? How many more meals could you produce if you had, say, a football stadium's kitchen?
I feel very confident that we could ramp up quite quickly to about 10,000 meals a day. Wow. The Nightingale Hospital, sadly, is going to be online soon. Obviously, sadly, because the fact that we'll need it. And if you think they've got 4,000 beds, imagine how many staff. So the requirement for companies, not just myself, lots of companies like us. I keep saying companies because that's my history, but it's now a charity, obviously.
It's all charities, yeah.
It's all charity. We're not making a penny on any of this. And nor would we want to, obviously, So there can't be too many of us. It's as simple as that. The need is so great. You've got the whole food bank system is broken, not due to the government fault, but you have situations where people that would have had facilities for food banks, such as churches, community centres, etc., they're now not allowed to open. And the people that would have relied on food stamps or food coupons to go to get their parcel of food or their basket of groceries from a food bank setting, they can't get out, B, they can't get their coupons, and C, they're all closed. And they're stuck literally stuck. they don't have food, not enough people can come and save them. And we're trying to deal, I'm working with people in Brent Council and Westminster Council. We're trying to deal as fast as we can with as many kind of single situations that we can handle. But it's a really tricky situation, and we just need that, there's no way we can cover everyone. But the more size of kitchens we get access to, the more of us can just, keep producing on a grander scale.
Abby, I'd love to talk to you again about some of the stories as well I know you said you've been to single houses and sort of, been witnessing, or people that are not normally in this situation, and they haven't even been able to eat. I remember for a couple of days.
That was one lady that I've been working with a certain council, and I kind of said to them one evening, they were talking to me about a lady that was in urgent need of food aid. And I said to the person, please just cut the red tape and get me their phone number. I know it's not necessarily traditional protocol, but the council cannot reach everyone in their wards. They simply can't. So they very kindly spoke to the lady, and she agreed, and they gave me her phone number and address. And I phoned her up Friday night. I'll never forget this. It was my first kind of experience of understanding what's broken and the scale of this. And I said to her, right, we're going to be delivering to you tomorrow. What kind of food do you like? Are you vegetarian? And she said, well, I haven't eaten for 2 days. I'll eat anything. She was 68. And I said to her, I was really shocked. So I said, don't worry, we're going to come over now. What can I get you for tonight? And she said, I would love 2 tea bags and a little bit of milk, please. And I was just heartbroken.
Bags and a little bit of milk. Wow.
It was heartbreaking that that's kind of all she was asking for, having not eaten for 2 days. So my 2 boys, bless them, we raided my kitchen, and I had to control them a little bit, but we took her like a couple of bags of food to get her through a week or so. And I threw the boys and the dog in the car, and drove around there, and we practiced social distancing. I laid the bags on the floor, then I went back to the car and phoned her, and as she came out we had a little chat from a way away, and she was so grateful, bless her. And then from the next day, she's now out Morton, we're delivering meals to her. So there's so many stories like that, and I've helped her. That's one person, but the need is overwhelming, and we're just not going to get to everyone. And I don't mean just us, like Compassion London. I mean all of us, everyone. There's so many people out there trying to help and doing the kind of thing I'm doing, and the governments are trying to help. But when the system's broken like that, literally overnight, through no one's fault, it's really hard to manage that and to fix it fast enough.
Abby, how do you see any lessons coming from this time that we're going through in say months to come, when we can look back at this?
I think the sense of community that's come out of this is extraordinary. My experience of running a business, and my experience this week, I put a post out at any point in time saying, I need admin for this. I get so many responses. And then within a few hours, whoever's responded has done the job. Kind of doesn't happen at work, right? You don't get your staff suddenly saying, oh yeah, I'll do a spreadsheet for you, and 2 hours later the whole thing's done. One of my boys' teachers at class today contacted me, and I had quite a big job I wanted to do, and bless her, she's done it all. So the support's just overwhelming. And I think if we could all come out of this and realise that, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but a part of me feels like we kind of forgot that we're all in this together, and we're all human, right? And we don't connect with people on the street. We're busy, myself included, we're all just busy being busy. I'm the worst person to blame for that. And it's about slowing down and realising, what are we chasing, right? We're chasing to be able to be with our family and friends, but they're all just sitting there, and we're not, sometimes, we forget to access that.
Abby, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and I know we'll continue our chats. Finally, for everybody that's listening, if you do want to volunteer or donate, Abby, can you give us that website again and again? We'll put a link actually at the bottom as well, so anybody that can donate. But also a big shout out to any football stadium, any owners of football clubs. Now is your time to step up. please, please, please help Abby and her amazing cause. And just exactly what Abby said, just by converting one football stadium, you could do what, tens of thousands of extra meals for people.
That is true, and thank you so much for that. You know, that would be incredible if someone could contact us. So can I give my mobile number for anyone that's...
Please do. You give me whatever information you need, and I can put that in the details in the bottom in the show notes.
Sure. So my mobile number is 07799418728. I'll also message you, of course.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm working quite literally 24/7. So, you know, just message away. And then the website where there's a donate me button to our GoFundMe page is www.compassion.london.